If you're trying to decide between Fayetteville and Tullahoma, Tennessee, this is exactly how one of my buyers made that decision and how we won in a multiple offer situation without just throwing more money at the seller. I have a closing happening tomorrow, and this one could not have gone more smoothly. But there are a few pieces of this deal that are really worth talking about if you're planning on moving to Southern Middle Tennessee, especially Tullahoma. Originally, my buyers were focused on Fayetteville. That was their plan. It was perfectly spaced between Huntsville and Tullahoma. Fayetteville is a great option for a lot of people, but as we started actually looking at the homes and talking through their daily life, not just the house, but how they live day to day, where their family lives, we kept coming back to what would feel easiest and most supportive for their routine. And for them, Tullahoma just made the most amount of sense. That's something I see a lot with relocation clients. It's usually not like one place being better than the other. It's about figuring out which one actually makes the most amount of sense for you and your life. All right, now the house. This one actually went under contract with somebody else first, and then it fell out of contract. The listing agent is a friend of mine, and I saw her post it on Facebook saying that the contract fell through, no fault of the seller, and they really needed to get it under contract. And after taking a look at it, I thought this might actually be a really great fit for my clients. It didn't check every box, but it checked more boxes than anything that we had seen. The catch was that it was just a little bit higher in price than they had originally been targeting, but as far as value goes, they were getting so much more than anything that they had looked at prior. It was priced to sell, and the sellers are moving into a new construction home, so they really had the motivation to keep things going. So instead of walking away or trying to force the price down, we got just a little bit more strategic. We went in strong with a multiple offer situation. So there were multiple people who realized what a great deal this house was going to be, and we still were able to negotiate in closing costs for them. It allowed my buyers to stay competitive without stretching themselves in a way that did not feel good for them long term, and they got a really great house. And this is something I want buyers to understand. It's not always about offering more. It's about structuring that offer in a way that actually works for you and obviously for the seller. It has to be a win-win for both of you in order to go under contract. Depending on where you're looking, taxes and insurance might vary, so you could probably stretch your budget a little bit in some areas where you couldn't in others. So we're almost at the closing table, and the sellers needed a certificate of occupancy in order for us to be able to close on time. The new home that they're moving into is brand new construction, and my buyers had to break a lease. Both of these things could have made the deal complicated really quickly, but both of those things are things that you can plan for and work through before you ever get to, mission critical. Breaking a lease, you are probably going to have to pay a little bit of money up front in order to be able to make that happen. That's something that we can negotiate into an offer, especially if the seller is motivated. The certificate of occupancy, that required great communication and staying on top of the timelines so we didn't run into delays. A huge shout out to the other agent because she really stayed on top of that. We really came down to the final hours really before we got that CO, but we're going to be able to close on time because people were paying attention. We're closing tomorrow. It was a smooth deal. Everybody feels good about it. Zooming out for a second, this lines up with what we're seeing in the Tullahoma market right now. We are seeing more homes go under contract. Inventory is staying pretty steady and homes are moving faster than they were even a couple of months ago. This isn't pandemic type of movement. Things are staying on the market for a little bit longer, but if there's a really great house that's priced appropriately, that hits the market, there is enough of a buyer pool that people are going to jump on it, which is why we ended up in multiple offer situation on this house. Buyers saw the value and they made the move. As a buyer, there's plenty of opportunity, but you do need to be ready to act when the right house does show up. Again, being competitive doesn't always mean the highest price. Sometimes it's terms, sometimes it's just being flexible with your timeline, sometimes it's understanding just exactly what the seller needs and adjusting to meet those needs. And that is how we made this one work. The biggest takeaway from this entire story: they did not change their mind randomly on where they wanted to move. They got more clear on how they actually wanted to live, and then that's what led them to moving to Tullahoma. If you're trying to figure out which area actually fits your day-to-day life or how to structure an offer like we did for this one, reach out. I will help you think through it.